Put data, process them, output them in the form of information. So as long as we're going to describe the task or the problem will be done by the computer or any problem. And what do we mean by a problem here? It doesn't mean to be a problem you need to solve. No, in programming a problem could be like a math word problem, for example. So we need to identify the inputs, then process them. Finally, we need to output them in the form of in the form of information. We're inputting data, processing them, output them into information. Back to algorithm. To write n steps, how will we attain any output, or how do we achieve any output? We need to identify the input, the process, and the output. We're having an example. Write the algorithm and draw the flowchart for a program that will calculate the sum of two numbers. Any two numbers will be entered by the user and it will display the result. Identify the input, the process, and the output. So first you need to define the problem. Identifying the input, the process, the output is called define the problem. For the inputs, we need to give the two numbers any two variables. The same as math. We're gonna say the first one will be A, the second one will be B. You may change the variable's name as you like. Okay, they will be they may be y, z, any two variables. So identifying my input by giving the first one the variable a and the second one the variable b. Then we need to identify the process. So our process will be what? The equation. I gave my output a variable which is c, so the outcome of the addition of the two numbers a and b will be c. So I set my equation c equals a plus b. Okay, then the outcome will be the sum of the two numbers, which is c. So to write any algorithm, we need to start by identifying the problem, the input. Okay, here in that case we need to input any two numbers, so we gave the first number the variable a, the second number the variable b, and for the process, the number 2 or feature number 2 will be identifying the process. The process will be an equation c equals a plus b, and the output will be the sum of the two numbers. Then we're going to write the algorithm. Actually, we said the algorithm is a steps. Okay, so we're gonna write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And it has like a standard way of writing, meaning number 1 in any algorithm will be start. So 1 start. 2, I'm going to write my inputs, and we're having like a keyword for writing the inputs. It should be enter the number a and b. To represent input, we're going to use the word enter. It's a keyword for the inputs. 3, we're going to write the equation, the process. So performing the sum of the two numbers using the equation c equals a plus b. 1 start, 2 the inputs with a keyword enter, 3 using the equation or the process. What do you think number 4 should be? Guess. Yes, it should be the output. So for the output we're going to use the keyword print. So print C, or output the result. So finally end. 1 start, the final step should be end. The first step start, the final step end. Second step should be writing the inputs using the keyword enter, or we may use the keyword input, any of them, input or enter. Then after writing the inputs, you need to write the process or the equation. To represent the output, we're using the keyword print. To represent the final step, it should be end. Okay? You need to follow the same steps in writing any algorithm. First start, last step end, second step inputs, third step process, fourth step print or output. The keyword for input, enter. The keyword for output, print or output. Okay, any of them, print or output. Now we're done with the algorithm. We will be back to the flowchart. We just said an algorithm is writing n steps, while a flowchart is a diagram representation. We're going to represent, okay, what did we write in the algorithm in a form of a chart or a diagram. That diagram uses standard graphical symbols to explain the sequence of the steps. What are the sequence of the steps? The algorithm for solving a problem or a specific question. So we're going to represent what did we write in the algorithm in a form of a diagram. Okay, that diagram uses standard graphical symbols. Okay, we cannot use any other symbols or shapes. You need to follow the standard shapes of the flowchart. Okay, here we have two videos, one for the basic flowchart shapes, and the other one as an overview about the flowchart. I'm gonna leave the presentation on Classera. What are the standard shapes we need to use while drawing a flowchart? First of all, you're gonna use the oval shape we're having here to represent the start and the end. Okay, we're using arrows, as you can see here, to connect the shapes, and we're using the parallelogram to represent the input and the output. We're having the rectangle, okay, here to represent a process or an equation. Here we have a diamond for representing a decision. Okay, the problem definition, the input, the solution and the output. Then we already wrote the algorithm. 1 start, 2 enter the number, 3 performing the sum, 4 print, finally end. Third will be drawing the flowchart. Actually, what should we do? We need to take each step in the algorithm and see what will be the equivalent shape. We just said start should be represented using an oval shape. Okay, this one. Okay, I'm gonna end show. Here we said start will be represented using an oval shape, so we need to draw oval shape. Then we're having enter the input and output. Enter A and B. Enter A and B as input, so we need to use a parallelogram to represent the input. Okay, and 3, we're having the equation, which is a rectangle. This is a rectangle, so we need to draw a rectangle. 4, we're having an output, so it should be represented with a parallelogram again. Finally, we're having AND, which will be represented by an oval shape as well. Okay, this is how our flowchart will look like. First, we're having an oval shape, and inside the oval shape, we're having the word start. Then we're having an arrow for connecting. Then to represent the input, we used a parallelogram. And inside the parallelogram, we wrote the keyword of inputs, enter, A and B. Then we're having an arrow again. Then we're having a rectangle representing the process or the equation. And inside the rectangle, we wrote the equation itself. Then we're having and now we need to represent the output, so we used a parallelogram, and inside the parallelogram we wrote the word output C. Then we're having the final arrow and an oval shape with the word AND to represent the AND. So we're gonna take each step in the algorithm, translate that step into the equivalent shape. Start will be oval, input will be a parallelogram, equation or process will be a rectangle. For the output, we're going to use a parallelogram as well, and for the AND, we're using an oval shape. Okay, here we have another example. Write the algorithm and draw the flowchart to solve the first degree equation y equal 3x plus 2. As we said, we're going to start by defining the problem. So 1 will be the input, which is x. We need to solve a first degree equation y equals 3x plus 2. So my inputs will be x, and after having the value of x, we can calculate y. So the input will be x, the equation will be, or the process will be performing the equation itself. After inputting the value of x, we can calculate y. Finally will be the output, calculating the value of y itself. Okay, so here we're having the input, inputting the value of x. The solution will be processing the equation by substituting with the value of x and calculating y. Finally, we're having the outcome or the output, the value of y. Second, the algorithm. 1, as we said, we're writing steps, and the first step should be 1, start. 2, enter the value of x, and we used the word enter to represent the inputs. Then will be the process or the equation, performing the equation y equals 3x plus 2. Then we're having print the value of y. Printing the value of y means we're going to output the value of y. And finally, we're having AND. Your assignment will be using the algorithm we're having here to draw the flowchart. Okay, you're going to draw the flowchart on a piece of paper using a pen or a pencil. Then take a photo of your flowchart, then upload your photo on Classera. So you're going to draw a flowchart out of the algorithm we're having here, then scan or take a photo and upload your photo to Classera. Thanks for watching.